A very good evening to you with the Tuesday, August 7th edition of the CBC Evening News. I'm Ryan Broom and our top story. Prime Minister Mia Motley is making the government of Barbados' position clear regarding the relocation of Ross University School of Medicine here from Dominica. In a statement this afternoon, Ms. Motley says she's disappointed some Barbadians and others across the region appear duped by the attempt by a few to create confusion over the institution's decision to relocate. The Prime Minister says this is not and has never been a case of poaching or enticing anyone away from Dominica.
Let me give you the facts. The government of Barbados was first approached on this matter on May 31st, 2018, within a week of forming the government. In our first conference call the following day on June 1st, I sought to have a number of matters clarified. My first response was to inquire of the state of recovery and rehabilitation in Dominica and whether there was anything sister islands in the Caribbean, like Barbados, could do to fast-track the process of rehabilitation in Dominica. It must be known and understood by all concerned that Ross University had not actually been operational in Dominica since the passage of Hurricane Maria, and indeed, the student and faculty bodies were temporarily relocated to two separate countries since last year, namely St. Kitts and Tennessee. That situation will continue, I'm told, into the next semester. The question for Ross, therefore, was how soon could and would the situation be regularized to the extent of housing all students in the operation of the university, if not under one roof, surely on one island. Indeed, as they expressed it, how could they meet the expectations of all their stakeholders, the students, the parents and faculty, and then their shareholders as a publicly traded company? We inquired of Ross, as I said, whether all options and scenarios had been explored and fully exhausted. We spoke with officials of the Dominica government who were still hopeful of a return of the school, but who conceded that a January startup was highly unlikely given their circumstances. It was only after Dominica was ruled out for the January startup of classes, and when attention had turned to at least two other potential locations in the region, two sister Caribbean islands, that Barbados then embraced the idea of making itself available as a possible site for relocation.
And the Prime Minister has stressed that in all of the discussions with Ross University, she made it clear everything must be done to mitigate the impact the move would have on Dominica and that island's economy. Ms. Motley says the relationship between Barbados and Dominica is strong and the two governments continue to work closely together. She says her relationship with Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit is also very good.
Indeed, Prime Minister Skerrit was the first leader I met with on becoming Prime Minister of Barbados. Prime Minister Skerrit is on my WhatsApp. Our relationship, therefore, is not only fraternal, it is personal. Therefore, for anyone to suggest that I would knowingly or deliberately set out to hurt, harm, or undermine the interests of Dominica, Dominicans, their government, or their leader, simply do not know or understand Mia Motley and how she operates. I am committed to partnering Dominica in all of its recovery efforts. I said this before assuming office, and I repeated this in many of my speeches since coming to government. I repeat, Barbados embraced the idea of housing Ross University only when and after it was determined that a return to Dominica was not an option at this time. For anyone in the region to suggest otherwise is at best ignorant of the facts and at worst downright wrong and wicked. I am not at liberty to divulge the nature and focus of discussions currently taking place between Dominica and Ross, but I can say to all concerned that I have certainly made my views known on what can be done to ease the pain of the loss to Dominica of this enterprise.
Former Government Minister Donville Innes could face a hefty prison sentence if convicted of a 3-count indictment of conspiracy to launder money and money laundering. He's also scheduled to appear in a Brooklyn federal court later this month. Confirmation of this came via email to CBC's Shane Jones from the Public Information Officer at United States Attorney's Office, John Marzulli.
According to the indictment, the charges stem from Mr. Innis's alleged acceptance of bribes from a Barbadian insurance company in 2015 and 2016 when he was a public official. Mr. Marzulli informed us that if convicted of the charges, the former minister could face a maximum of 20 years in prison. Mr. Innis was arrested on Friday and was arraigned yesterday before United States Magistrate Judge Julie Sneed in the Middle District of Florida at the federal courthouse in Tampa and was released on a U.S. $50,000 bond. The indictment states that between August 2015 and April 2016, Mr. Innis engaged in a scheme to accept approximately $36,000 in bribes from high-level executives of an insurance company headquartered in Barbados and launder that money through the U.S. The indictment goes on to say that in exchange for the bribes, Mr. Innis leveraged his position as the Minister of Industry to enable the Barbados company to obtain 2 government contracts. It also alleges that Mr. Innis concealed the bribes by arranging to receive them through a dental company and a bank located in New York. It's charged that the Barbados company executives transferred the funds to the dental company using an invoice falsely claiming that the payments were for consulting services. Now, during the time of the charged conspiracy, Mr. Innis was a legal permanent resident of the United States residing in Florida and Barbados. Mr. Marzulli highlighted that the charges in the indictment against the 52-year-old Mr. Innis are merely allegations and he is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Mr. Innis will appear before United States District Judge Kiyo Matsumoto on August 23rd. Shane Jones, CBC News.
Thanks, Shane. Well, in related news, political scientist Peter Wickham says the charges brought against former Minister Donald Innis came as a surprise to many and has major implications for his political future. He says there has always been a view among Barbadians that Mr. Innis, who was one of the more outspoken members of the previous administration, had the potential to lead the party and maybe someday the country. But Mr. Wickham says he always held a different view and believes this would have been difficult for Mr. Innis to achieve even before the charges were laid.
Donald Innis is essentially a contemporary of Mayor Motley, and I don't think the time was on his side. The fact that these charges have been laid, no, I think it pretty much brings his outlook to a grinding halt. My sense is that regardless of the outcome, even if he's exonerated, the time that he loses now and the negative impact that this has had on his reputation will take a lot to be able to recover, and I don't know that time is on his side. So I tend to think that, not attempting to prejudge the outcome, I think that this is it for him as a prospective leader of the Democratic Labour Party and certainly leader of the country.
And Mr. Wickham says this is the beginning of a process, and in the end, Mr. Innis may successfully defend himself. He has, however, made it clear his political career will take a hit.
Ultimately, that is really not the issue. The issue now is that there's a stain, and I think that stain will take a whole lot to remove. And I think perhaps his focus needs to be now on his legacy and the extent to which he is able to work assiduously towards cleaning that legacy up.
Veteran entertainer Lil Rick has ended the 2018 crop over season on a winning note. He's taken the top spot in the Tune of the Crop competition with Mother Sally and the $7,500 prize money. Lil Rick also took third position and the $2,000 prize with his popular True Story. Meanwhile, Mikey took second place in the Tune of the Crop along with a $5,000 prize with Fetting Family. Lil Rick's win yesterday follows his tie with himself for first place in the Jam Tune for 4-Day Morning. It also follows his wins with Sweet Soca in the Soca Royale and his historic win in the first ever International Bashment Soca competition earlier in the season. Congratulations to Rick and to all the other winners. Well, the results of this year's Grand Kadooment are in, and Kevin Small and Betty West are among the top performers. Kevin Small's Fifth Element Mass Street Talk won Small Band of the Year, along with the HIV/AIDS Awareness Award, Traditional and Most Colorful Small Band, among other awards. Small is also ecstatic after taking his second consecutive Festival Designer of the Year prize. Now, while not revealing his secret, he notes producing quality costumes for 2 bands was quite challenging.
Because like I did say, the band both bands would have grown over the last year, as expected, but more than expected in the juniors. So for me, definitely going forward, we would have to prepare for a greater increase.
Now, in the parade of the bands, Betty West won the George Deere Award for Best Band on the Road, along with Large Band of the Year, Most Colorful Large Band, along with the top spots for Topical and Historical Band. CBC went to Maxwell, where West thanked her team for working long hours beside her. While grateful for the prizes her band earned this year, she intends to query the criteria for the award of Festival Designer of the Year.
Today, I'm a happy person. The only thing I have to question, really, I have to see the details for Designer of the Year, because I am going to question that, because I'm not the sort of person that, you know, is very, very touchy and very worried about things like that. But you generally have to ask questions when you know you did everything that is right, and you see and you know your designs. You have people calling you from abroad saying you're going to come back. The design was the most beautiful design. And then in the end to hear that, you know, I haven't, you understand, because the judge's decision is final.
In other news, even after decades of existence, one annual competition is still making a major impact on the entertainment industry in Barbados. Starting with the first preliminary on August 12th, the curtains will come up on the 42nd edition of the Richard Stout Teen Talent Contest. And director Richard Stout says the competition has played a major part in developing local talent.
I can proudly say that over the last couple of years, we've had 6 monarchs coming from the Teen Talent competition. We've had some junior monarchs as well. We've had some people who also won the Soca Monarch competitions as well. So as you can see, you know, the competition has played its part. I'm very proud to have been able to conduct such a service to my country and for the young people of Barbados, who I think the focus should be on them, because they're the future, and if they fail, then the country fails.
Now, Mr. Stout says they will also be giving back to the community, this time highlighting little Dakari Darlington, who is living with cerebral palsy. And as part of the continued focus on young people, the first place winner of the contest will win free tuition at the Barbados Community College, and the second place winner free language tutoring. Now, while he's impressed with the young artists in the Calypso arena, he wants youth in other genres to be given a chance.
The best talent scouts come down and to see what we have here, but they just see the Calypsonians. You know, I'm saying that an opportunity should be given to the better singers of my Teen Talent program to be showcased to these people who come from so far, who can give the world another Rihanna. But Teen Talent starts after these people have left. Why can't there be an opportunity provided for my young people who are so talented to be heard by these people who can take them to another level?
More young people considering careers in the cultural industries. That story and more coming up after the break. Welcome back. Well, several young people are now considering careers in the cultural industries. This after spending the past few weeks of their summer holiday attending a creative program hosted by the Pinelands Creative Workshop. Our Sharika Griffith reports.
For the past few weeks, Camp Fusion has been providing these young people with training in several areas, including music production, theater, and digital media creation. When the CBC team visited, we caught them in their final digital media class, which, according to them, has opened their eyes to new potential careers.
We were given like a list of things we were to put in a play, and then we had to put together and see who passed and who failed.
So now that you've been exposed to this, do you think that this is something you might want to do for a living?
Yeah.
Before I didn't know nothing about digital media, I actually know something about the cameraman, even the director and everything. And he actually let us created characters for our own, and we come dressed up as some.
So now that you've been exposed to this, do you think that this is something you might want to do for a living?
I'll consider it.
It wouldn't be a career to me, but it would be something that I would like to do as a hobby.
Instructor Erwin Cascety Redmond from the popular web series Porgy and Murder says the children are full of potential.
From the time I came, the children just blew me away. Every class, you know, they adapted. Their creative eye was open up. They learned the fundamental of design and branding, and you know, so they're very good. Yeah.
Cascatee believes it's important to expose them to creative concepts from an early age.
Our agenda is to create a creative economy. So to identify the talent from this age and expose them to industry standard, that's very important. So them coming into the industry, they can not only make good monetary decisions, but they know how it works and know how it operates. So developing them at this age is extremely important.
The camp targets children ages 7 to 17. CEO of Pinellas Creative Workshop and camp director Sophia Graves Broom says the camp is part of a broader program to bring more people with technical skills to the cultural industry.
At least our industry has continuity, and also to bring new challenges to young people and young minds who are already fully engaged with technology, to bring that technology closer to them, to use it in a useful way as opposed to some of the degrading ways that we see them sometimes use it and negative ways that they propose to use it sometimes. So this is a way of engaging them creatively as well as using the technology in a positive way, and also added factor in terms of boosting our creative sector.
The camp will conclude with a recital in honor of Calypsonian TC on August 15th. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Thanks, Sharika. Well, the Barbados Road Safety Association says the planting of trees on highways, though aesthetically pleasing, can be a hazard to motorists. President Charmaine Roland Bowen would instead like to see more crash barriers and the roadsides used to give way.
We're looking at making Barbados beautiful, our highway and so on, but in some instances, you know, if a driver loses control, you know, they have no recourse, you know, they just drive into that. You know, sometimes it is there because it is there, you know, you drive into it, you know, and things happen. So, I mean, we already have some, you know, but don't plant too many, you know. Look at the safety, because we are humans, you know, and this is what the Forgiving Roadsides are about. You know, it's about not only planting trees, but it is about having facilities, you know, crash bars and so on to help, you know, if some person loses control, that they have, you know, something that can act as a mechanism to save lives.
And this next story brings me some joy. The celebrations for Isilma March, referred to as the 50th centenarian in Barbados, continued on Saturday. The island's newest member of the 100-year-old club was showered with more gifts and praises on her big day at her Black Rock home. Surrounded by friends, family, and well-wishers, she was visited by Governor General Dame Sandra Mason, Registrar of the Supreme Court Barbara Cook Aline, both of whom she knows personally, along with Member of Parliament for St. Michael Northwest, Neil Rowe. The mother of two, who was a former seamstress, who is often thought to be much younger, continues to credit her active lifestyle with her longevity. Ms. Marsh has been active in the gym for more than 30 years and currently goes 4 times a week. She says she has no plans to slow down anytime soon.
I do my own shopping, you know, and cooking. I like cooking, and I like to walk around. I don't like to sit down, you know, steady.